Lincoln Highway. I finished this book here a few weeks ago, and I've been meaning to sit down and talk about it. This book here was something that I read before I started this channel, before I started taking detailed notes while reading. So I don't have that line by line memory of it, but I definitely remember how this book felt. This book was extremely easy to get into. Ripple, come on, man. And that's the first thing. Super easy to get into. Chapter 1, boom, you're in it. Some books, this is kind of my first dive into maybe a little historical fiction, but some books you're 100, 150 pages in before it starts to really gain traction. This one didn't. This one opened up naturally. It was actually recommended to me by a guy at my local bookstore. He said that he liked this book because it made him laugh out loud while reading it. And he definitely was right. There was some times where I'm just sitting alone and laughing to myself, looking like a crazy man. But that's what makes this great book, I think. It's not in a forced way by any means. It's not in a clever joke kind of way. It's just genuine human moments that kind of caught me off guard. That surprised me a little because underneath humor and some of the interactions or circumstances, while they might be funny, there's definitely something heavier going on a lot of the times. The story itself moves very well. There's momentum. There was never one time in this book where I felt stuck. But what really held me was how closely we follow each character in the book. It's not just the plot happening. You're inside different heads, different viewpoints. You see their logic. You definitely see their blind spots, and definitely are front row for their contradictions. That's really where it got interesting for me. This typically isn't my focused genre, if you will, but there are moments where a character is doing something questionable and maybe even very, very wrong, according to, I think, what are most human standards, but you understand exactly why they think it makes sense. There's that moral tension, if you will, that's what hooked me, because life in general feels like that on a day-to-day level most of the time. We don't usually wake up and choose to be the bad guy or the villain. We justify, we rationalize, we tell ourselves a story that makes our decision feel necessary. And what this book does, Amor Towles, butchering that name, obviously, but what he does very well, he lets you see how people build their own reasoning. I found myself shifting allegiance a few times, thinking, okay, I see you, I see where you're coming from. Then just a few pages later, I'm like, wait, maybe not so much. That definitely kept me engaged the entire time. And the ending, the ending. Obviously, you're getting towards the end of the book. You know it's going to end, right? But I didn't see this ending coming at all. Not in a twisty, gimmicky way. More in a quiet, directional way. I thought the road was, no pun intended, I thought the road was heading one direction, and it did not. I appreciated that. I'm not saying the ending is bad. I'm saying the ending was bad in the sense of but there's something satisfying about a story that earns its ending without telegraphing it, if you will. Looking back, what lingers most for me isn't one specific scene, although there's definitely some vivid and great scenes that I could recall, but it's the tone, it's the overall tone through the book that really sticks with me. There's this kind of steadiness of the writing. It doesn't try too hard. It trusts the characters. And, I think that's a sign of a great book. It trusts the reader, and that confidence lets the details breathe. There were small observations, little moments that made everything feel grounded. Um, I didn't feel, manipulated. I felt guided throughout this entire book, chapter by chapter, and that's different. I also think, I think there's something about the structure, following the various characters closely throughout each chapter by chapter, that mirrors exactly how life itself actually unfolds. We often, everyone, I'll go out on a limb, everyone thinks they're the center of the story all the time in their life, but they're not. For the most part, they're intersecting or colliding with each other, sometimes unknowingly, altering someone else's direction entirely. But I didn't walk away from this book shaken, I guess you could say, like some other books, but it wasn't that kind of experience for me. It was more, felt very satisfied with this book. I felt very my thirst was quenched, if you will. I was engaged the whole way through. I was interested, surprised at moments, and genuinely amused. And sometimes, whether you're between series or just need a fresh new genre or book to go through, sometimes that's enough. Now, I guess I'll say, who is this book for, in my opinion? Obviously, that's a very vague statement, but I'd say it's for readers who, like myself, are very character-driven. They really get into multiple characters throughout their stories. People who enjoy moral gray areas, that's a big one for me. Well, at least one thing I noticed in this book. People who appreciate humor that's subtle, subtle but sharp. If you need constant high drama, this might feel a little too measured for you, I would say. But if you like watching people navigate their own reasoning and occasionally trip up over it, this one, The Lincoln Highway, delivers for sure. It's not loud, it's steady, and it stays with you in a way that it stays with you in a quiet way, I would say. That's how it landed for me.